Thanks for joining me again on Best of Trek, Worst of Trek. I'm your host, Dustin Wing. Majel kicks us off today at number 680, with inappropriate relationships, or cost of living. We open into the Enterprise destroying an asteroid that's about to hit a planet. Dust from the vaporized asteroid makes its way into the ship, and it's apparently a metal parasite that starts eating away at critical ship systems and turning them into goo. Meanwhile, Lwaxana Troi comes on board to marry a man from another planet that she's traded profiles with on Tinder but has never met. The third plot simultaneously going on is Worf and Alexander trying to get through the struggles of growing up, and Deanna tries to counsel them through it, till her mother interferes and keeps taking Alexander at inappropriate times to an inappropriate nude mud bath on the holodeck. In the end, she shocks her ultra-conservative husband-to-be by going to her own wedding in the traditional Betazoid wedding apparel, i.e. naked as can be, and he hightails it out of there. The engineering crew figures out a way to stop the metal parasites just before they destroy the ship, and at the very end, Worf and Deanna join Alexander and Lwaxana in the mud bath. I've always wondered how the dancing woman in nothing but body paint made it past TV censors, but that's interesting. Most of the rest of the episode feels wholly inappropriate. On a positive note, this might be the best outfit in the Lwaxana Troi collection. Being transformed at 679 is Kim in the Joke Mines of Mars. Or favorite son. When Voyager encounters a random alien ship that's supposedly peaceful, Ensign Kim takes control of the weapons and attacks the ship, believing he knows they were going to fire, despite initial evidence to the contrary. The battle almost gets B'Elanna killed, but upon further investigation they find Harry was right about the aliens. Kim starts having his DNA rewritten, developing spots, and has other premonitions about things going on in this region of space, like a planet called Teresia he somehow knows about and is drawn to. When they make contact, it turns out Harry is really from this planet of seemingly all women, and males born here that are super rare take embryos to other parts of the galaxy to be born to other parents, and then are drawn to return home. He has women fawning over him for the rest of the episode, when in reality, he picked up some sort of virus in the Delta Quadrant that rewrote his DNA, and the women just want to harvest his genetic material before killing him. Voyager foils their plans and rescues Harry just before they capture him. Fighting for the love of a 2-year-old is number 678, Two Men and a Dino Baby, or Parturition. With the ship's food stores becoming depleted, they enter orbit of a planet that they can't detect plant life, but all of its constituent elements, and Janeway sends Tom and Neelix to find what they can in a shuttle. Before this, Tom and Neelix have been literally fighting over Kes, and there's resentment between them for most of the rest of the runtime. The shuttle crashes, and the atmosphere is pseudo-toxic, so they take refuge in a cave. While there, they find a dinosaur egg in the midst of hatching. They bond over taking care of the infant from the 90s TV show Dinosaurs and are rescued just before the mother returns to maul them. This episode is the height of Neelix's overprotective infatuation with Kes, but is also the start of the seasons-long process of them slowly and quietly breaking up. I know she's more like 20 by human standards, but she's physically 2 years old, and this is kinda creepy. Falling head over heels at number 677 is Infectious Metamorph DTF, or Perfect Mate. In another use of the Princess Jasmine from Aladdin storyline, the Enterprise is bringing an ambassador and a gift from one warring world to another to settle a generations-long dispute. They receive a distress call and rescue a pair of Ferengi who are just trying to weasel their way aboard to steal stuff. When they interact with the gift being transported, it breaks its stasis and reveals the gift is actually a woman. There's some discussion about the ethics and morality of transporting a person in stasis as property. Turns out she's a metamorph with empathic powers, and she makes every man she comes near attracted to her. When the ambassador is sickened by the Ferengi, Picard must finish the diplomatic assignment, and has Data escort her around since he's unaffected by her empathic charm. Towards the end, Picard spends time with her and casually falls in love, but has to give her up at the end when the diplomacy starts. We get to see Max Grodenchik as yet another Ferengi in this one, Crusher at one point just says the word penny when she means penny for your thoughts, and it's weird. But we get another mention of the dolphins on board that we unfortunately never get to see. Gluing prosthetics to pets is number 676. Double the fun. Or The Enemy Within. Most of the early episodes of TOS are pretty great, but this is probably the first, worst episode of Trek by release order. While on a planet, a landing party member is injured, and when he beams back up, the transporter suffers a malfunction that will affect the next beings coming up. Kirk beams up, and after he leaves the transporter room, another evil version of himself materializes on the pad. Since the shuttlecraft hadn't yet been invented or something, Sulu and other crew members are stuck on the planet in extreme negative temperatures for the rest of the episode. In the ultimate William Shatnering episode, the evil version of him starts roaming the ship, demands booze from Bones, and then goes and proceeds to try to sexually violate Yeoman Rand. Which in no way would be traumatizing to Grace Lee Whitney, as a real-life similar incident allegedly took place a few episodes later between her and one of the production staff. Turns out it's not just an evil version of Kirk, but that Kirk was split into an evil and a good Kirk, and good Kirk has a hard time making tough decisions without being a whole Kirk. In the end, they're able to merge the two Kirks back together and go on their merry way. Filling the holodeck biofilters is number 675. Port in the Storm. Or Fairhaven. Tom Paris creates a holodeck program of a town set in the early 20th century of the Irish coast. It quickly becomes a favorite among the crew and they start running it around the clock. Janeway becomes infatuated with the bartender character, deletes his wife, and reprograms him to be exactly the type of man she wants. The actual Trek-style plot in this one is mostly filler about a strong space storm that the ship is trying to get through, and in the end it causes damage, including destroying most of the holoprogram. The best part of this episode is Janeway talking to the doctor that takes on the role of the village priest in the holoprogram and confessing that making a lover perfect was probably the wrong thing to do, and by the end of the episode locks herself out of rewriting her new boy toy ever again. When Tuvok doesn't fit into a story, this isn't the first time that the writers simply made him sick. I still don't understand at the end the arbitrary bit that they could salvage 5 to 10% of the original program either. Giving up yet another chance for O'Brien to leave Keiko, we have number 674. Puppy Love, Part 1. Or The Storyteller. O'Brien gets to experience Julian bashiring himself up on a runabout trip to Bajor, where he's been summoned to help with a sickness. When they arrive, they find it's not a medical sickness, but a cloud that doesn't register in tricorder readings attacking the village. As the village elder dies trying to repel the energy cloud, he has O'Brien help him, and the villagers now think O'Brien is the one that can save them from this thing that returns every so often and starts throwing gifts and beautiful young women his way. It turns out the energy cloud is actually a manifestation of the villagers' fears and only making them believe that someone will make it go away. So he pulls a bait and switch, purposely not repelling the entity so that one of the villagers can take over the role and he can go back to DS9. For some reason, this was one of many opportunities he had to unhitch himself from Keiko's wagon. Throughout their marriage, it always seems like the universe is telling him not to be with Keiko, and he just doesn't give the universe a chance to save him from lifelong unhappiness. Meanwhile, back on the station, Sisko is mediating a land dispute between two Bajoran factions. One of the leaders is a girl about Jake's age that Jake and Nog take a liking to, and yet another Princess Jasmine trope, they try to impress her and show her the wider universe that she's not accustomed to seeing. This whole episode is about the diversity and weirdness of Bajoran culture. Closing out our block today is 673, Puppy Love, Part 2. Or the Dauphine. The Enterprise is tasked with transporting the leader of a planet that's been in training exile for years back to her home planet. She's a particularly young ruler with a lot of education, and Wesley falls in love at first sight with her. Her protector forbids her from leaving her quarters, but she manages to sneak out with Wes a couple of times, till Picard orders Wesley to stay away from her. Turns out both the girl and her protector are changelings that can take on many forms, and when she visits Wes towards the end of the episode, she turns into a bear-like creature to protect him from her protector. After seeing this, Wesley gets kinda xenophobic about her and is upset she didn't tell him what she really was. But in the end, he sees her transform into her real form, which is some kind of light being. The name of the episode is an obscure reference to French rulers. The planet they take her to has a thick atmosphere, and they can't even send a communication through, but somehow can get a transporter beam through. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but Trek doesn't always make a lot of sense.
Ah, computer.
That program is available.
Thanks, Majel. Majel. Thanks, Majel.
You're going to be absolutely thrilled. I'm getting married.
Thanks, Majel.
He's such a wonderful man, and he has such good breeding.
Majel.
When you tell the truth, you never have to remember later what you lied about.
Thanks, Majel.
Oh, who else are you going to fight with if not your friends?
Thanks, Majel.
He is with Waxana Troy.
Thanks, Majel.
Every one of us has 1,000 different kinds of little people inside of us. Computer, some gestural tea, please.
Thanks, Majel.
You sure my daughter didn't send you?
Majel.
I, of course, am Luoxana, and any introductory compliments you'd care to make will be happily received.
Thanks, Majel.
There is no nitrium present in the affected stabilizer or replicator.
I'll tell you what, I'll be back here with you in 1 hour exactly, all right?
Thanks, Majel.
Let's not leave everyone waiting for us.
Thanks, Majel.
Estimated breach in 1 minute.
Thanks, Majel.
Minister, this is infamous! Infamous! We must leave immediately!
Every pore in my body tingles with contentment.
Thanks, Majel.
Enter when ready.
Majel.
Warning, vectored exhaust controls malfunctioning.
Thanks, Majel.
Modification complete.
Majel.
Affirmative.
Thanks, Majel.
Satire! In Trek! Satire! In Trek!
The Dalrock trembles! It fears our strength!
We shall defend our isle, whatever the cost may be. We shall never surrender. Never have so many, oh, so much to serve you.
Faster, boys!
I think we've established we're not dealing with a common reptile.
True. And if this thing does have a mother, I'd say we don't want to be around when she gets back.
Not the mama, not the mama, not the mama, not the mama.
Would you care to join us?
We'd love to.
No, thank you.
Yes.
No.
Meet Thing 2 and Thing 1!
Go to sickbay. Let the doctor have a look at that cut.
Ensign, report to sickbay.
That's for sick people!
Now.
Yeah, keep the fire burning hot. Keep the fire burning hot. Yeah, keep the fire burning hot. Keep the fire burning hot. Yeah, keep the fire burning hot. Keep the fire burning hot. Yeah, keep the fire burning hot.